you shouldn't drink and drive because that's going to look good on social media, right?
Yeah, exactly.
After
I mean,
that
it
happened,
is smart doing rideshare. Not
No, it is.
Yes.
It
better than
100%
driving
is.
drunk.
But at the same time, how about just don't drink?
Yeah,
Just don't drug.
that's
Just
the
don't
solution.
party like that. And that was working out fine. That was working out perfect. I was a shining star. And that was until my dad passed away in 2018. And the depression, the anger, the anxiety inside me grew to levels that were crushing. It crushed my soul. So now alcohol, is a depressant. So every time I drank, it was like throwing lighter fluid onto this fire of depression, making it get bigger and bigger.
This is Rock Bottom with Ryan. No sugarcoating, no filters. The pain, the chaos, the truth. No bullshit. Just recovery.
Hey everyone, thank you for watching another episode of Rock Bottom with Ryan. I just want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by SoberStrong Apparel. SoberStrong Apparel makes heavyweight premium gear for people who take sobriety seriously. 10% of every order goes back to recovery centers. SoberStrong also runs an impact sponsorship program that puts gear directly into facilities for people just starting out. So if you're sober curious, check out SoberStrong Apparel, grab some gear, rep the crew. And also use code ROCKBOTTOM, all capital letters, for 15% off. Now 15% off. Used to be 10, now you get 15% off this gear. Love what this company represents. They support sobriety. Stay sober, stay true, rep the crew, get yourself some high quality clothing, y'all. Enjoy this episode. All right, welcome to another episode of Rock Bottom with Ryan and Rachel. Got my co-host here, Rachel Sereni, and we've got Jeremy as our guest today. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks, guys.
Hi.
Life is great one day at a time. Happy to be here.
Good. Excited to have you here.
Thank you.
I've seen a lot of your posts online throughout ever since I started the podcast and
Mhm.
stuff and seen your stuff. So I'm like, we've always been like, we want to meet that guy. So
Yeah,
it's awesome to have you here.
how I felt.
Yeah, we were both
Thank you
thinking
for
it. So
coming.
now we actually got you on the show. So we're excited. And as you know, we talk a lot about recovery on here. And we'd love to know your sober date, drink a drug of choice, where you're from, all the basics.
Sure. Well, my name is Jeremy, and I'm an alcoholic addict in recovery. And my sober date is November 8th of 2018. Alcohol mostly, specifically whiskey, specifically Irish whiskey, Jameson, drugs. I take whatever drugs were given to me for free. That's why for a long time when I was coming to meetings, I never said addict because I was like, well, I never paid for drugs, so that doesn't really count, right?
Yeah.
People are like, oh, he's a cool dude. Let's give him some free cocaine.
Man, I wish I was that cool because nobody really gave me any free cocaine.
I got it often. I got it free. I got it.
Well, being an attractive girl and all helps too. I was like, I just never got free drugs.
I think my thing was being a singer in a band. So
Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
yeah.
You guys all had the perks. I just didn't get that lucky,
Right.
apparently. So I had to sell it in order to facilitate the habit and make it feel like I was getting it for free. But,
That's always fun.
Okay. So a lot of alcohol, Irish whiskey, and whatever drugs came around, like cocaine, Molly, stuff like that.
I think I only did Molly once, and it was after a long night. I was DJing, and the bar that I lived above, I saw the owner was still there. I stopped in, and I always had a thing for a mystery pill. They're like, "Hey, you want one of these?" And I'm like, "Sure." What was that? Asking after the fact.
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh, that was Molly." I'm like, "Oh, cool. Well, see what that does."
Yeah.
Well,
It was already 5 a.m. because I was DJing until I think it was Saturdays was 5 a.m. So I was probably just leaving there so that they were partying, stopped in, and that was like my nightcap. But my morning breakfast was a Molly one morning.
it's awesome.
I can relate.
I can
can
relate. I can relate to some long weekends on Molly and then just feeling like my brain was fried on Monday. I was just like, oh. Not fun,
Yeah.
but fun at the time, but not the
Right. Yeah. It's
hangover
like
from it.
looking back though, it was a period during my recovery not too long ago, maybe a year ago, where I couldn't look back and honestly remember. I couldn't remember the good times I had while drinking and using. Like they were somehow just like they got redacted like the files. They
Yeah,
got redacted. It was just like I don't remember having fun
I know that's
drunk or high, and I just couldn't remember any good times. All I could remember was the puking, was the hangovers, was the shame, was the regret. It's only recently that I've started like thinking. I was like, no, there were some good times, but the after the effect was not worth it.
Mhm.
I feel happier and healthier and sane now. Looking at the things I did, I am shocked and appalled, but we do not wish to forget our past nor close the door on it. So here
yeah.
we are.
All right. No, I appreciate you saying that because we've been talking to a lot of guests and we've been saying, it wasn't all bad. The times weren't bad, but like when I get into a meeting or something, all I can think about talking about was generally just all the things that stand out, which are injuries, hospital, arrest, just all these like negative
Yeah.
things. But I'm like, I had some fun in there somewhere. It just doesn't come to mind first. But
No, yeah. For
yeah,
me, it's the Ratchet Rachel situation. Like it's all fun and games, the stories that I talk about, but no, actually, it's not. It's not fun to be a 5'2" woman punching men in the face and being blackout. That is so dangerous. So, yeah, there were some good times. Yeah, before she blacked out, maybe,
Yeah.
possibly. But let's get back to you, Jeremy. Let's back it up. Did you grow up in Chicago?
No, actually, I grew up in northern New Hampshire, like way up there in the mountains in Berlin, New Hampshire. And, I've always been a weirdo. I've always been different. And it was like, I never really got invited to parties. So I remember the first high school party I got invited to and alcohol was available. I overdid it right away the first time. And I puked on my friend's basement floor. And I remember his father coming down and screaming at him. And here I am with like a towel mopping it up, and he's threatening to throw me out. And I'm sure like my parents are going to freak out if I come home at like 2 a.m. smelling like Budweiser ice and vomit.
Mm,
Well, my friend is like, no, no, he's cool. He's cool. We're going to clean it up. And it got smoothed over. So my first experience that I remember on alcohol was a negative one. It wasn't cool, except for the fact I fit in. I was one of the guys. I was one of the dudes, pounding brewskis and telling stories and making jokes. But that led to so much more destruction. You know what I mean? It just
mm,
made everything worse that unlocked that chemical dependency right away. Like it sucks throwing up and being embarrassed, but it's really cool to fit in. It's
yeah,
really cool to be one of the guys.
yeah. Was alcohol very present, like growing up with like your family and parents and stuff like that, or were you
Well,
around it
that was the
much?
thing, and I should have known because it is, I had a generational disposition. I had a predisposition to this because my father is an alcoholic or was an alcoholic. He passed away in 2018. But as far back as I remember, because he's been in recovery or he was in recovery, because he started going to AA meetings when I was in third grade. So I was probably 8 years old. And I remember when I was in my early teens, he invited me to an Alateen meeting and I went to one and I thought I was way too cool for this bullshit.
mm.
And therein lied the problem. I thought it was too cool, too smart, and too tough for this. I'm not going to end up like dad. I'm not going to have to go to meetings every week. I'm not going to have to talk to these losers.
Hmm.
It's that ego. The
Yeah.
ego screwed
Mhm.
me up from the get go. I'm better than my old man. And it's funny because my father, who raised me, was actually my biological grandfather. And I never met my birth father, but I heard that he passed away from alcohol poisoning.
Mm,
The life just got too much for him and he quit eating and he just drank a gallon of vodka every day until he died.
mm.
So they're so much
Genetic.
intertwined in my genes, in my neurochemistry already, that I should
Wow.
be an alcoholic. And I should have looked at the red flags instead of being like, nope, 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 going for it.
Yeah. Do you know anything about your birth mother, your mother?
Well, yeah, we don't talk, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So that would be my parents who raised me, oldest daughter,
Okay.
if that's not too confusing.
No,
It
yeah.
was,
I
but
have
I
a mixed family
understood.
too. So, yep.
Yeah. But
My
I mean,
family's
I should have seen the red flags about the alcohol, the addiction in my life, and I just wanted to ignore them. But there was a short period that actually was like probably 2.5 years, where after I had like discovered punk rock and I got into that scene, that I bought Minor Threat's complete discography, and I decided that I'm straight edge, and I stuck to it pretty well. Well, not pretty well. I did fiercely until I think it was my towards the end of my first year of college, and I came out of the closet, and that's when like somebody offered me a drink, and I was just under a lot of stress, and I took it, and I just went all the way back. I went from nothing to everything. Give me
was it
what
your
you got.
was it your first time coming out to anyone in general, or like did you come out to your family and everybody at once, or how'd that happen? If you don't mind me asking.
No, that's fine. It was just like I had always kind of known I was different, and I knew that I was gay, but I didn't really want to admit it until I was at college, and it was like one at a time. First it was one of my sisters, then my brother, then my mom, and I just when I started like telling people at the college I was going to, it became more of a tense issue for me. My two roommates, where one of them was like, I don't care, and the other one's like, okay. And I was just like, oh, that's not cool, bro.
And that
I'm
was like
stressed out.
early
Yeah.
2000s or something, or what years were
Yeah,
those?
late
Because those are tough
90s, early
times to come
thousands.
out, I think, compared to today.
Huh?
Right.
Mhm.
It was like 98, 97, something like that. I'm
Okay.
old.
Wow. Did you get
Yeah.
you didn't get all the reactions you were expecting as far as positive reactions, and that kind of caused you stress?
99% were positive, because it was mostly like from my family that I got positive reactions. And it was just like a few jagoffs in college that, kind of stressed me out, got me back to
Mhm.
drinking. And it was almost like my mind was looking for a reason,
Yeah.
Mhm.
that devil. That devil, the addiction that's out there doing push-ups in the parking lot while we're trying our best, was there, and it's like, you got a reason, fucking drink.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it wasn't. I wouldn't have looked at it as a relapse until just now when I'm telling you all this. But now
Mhm.
it's definitely feels like that straight edge period was probably my first taste of sobriety, from trying to fit in and drinking and partying in high school to coming out in college. It was just like
How long was that period of sobriety, would you say?
about 2.5 years.
It's pretty
So that's
impressive at that age.
well, I mean, that seemed like my cutoff now that I think about it, because when I moved to Chicago and I got my first real blackout drunk, I I I stopped drinking again for about 2.5 years. So it was my 22nd birthday, and this dude Sean I was hanging out with, and that's how I got the name Germ, by the way. I just moved to Chicago, and this big black skinhead named Sean, he was just like, your name's not Jeremy anymore. Everybody's gonna call you Germ. I'm like, okay. But
Okay.
we went to go see the Hudson Falcons at Fireside Bowl, and he had gotten me this bottle of Bushmills whiskey for my birthday, and I thought it was a good idea to drink the whole thing before I got into the show.
That'll get you.
Big surprise, it wasn't. It
Right.
wasn't a good idea. So I remember waiting in line to get in, and then the next thing I know, I remember waking up on my bedroom floor covered in cuts and bruises. My wallet's empty, and I'm laying in a pool of my own urine. And that
Jeez.
scared me. That was so scary to me, because I had never gotten blackout drunk like that before, where I couldn't remember what was going on, what happened, anything.
Did you like
And
go into a mosh pit or something, or did you get
oh,
jumped?
I'm sure. I'm sure I probably ran into it. Was probably like throwing
Probably.
elbows at everybody and trying to start some stuff. I probably thought I was the coolest, smartest, toughest guy in the world, but I couldn't tell you.
So that was a first regrettable blackout experience, I assume.
Yeah. What's
Lucky.
that?
That was a very regrettable blackout experience, one of the first.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was the first one that I remember. So, and I remember my partner at the time, the reason why I moved to Chicago, he was like, "We're not doing that. We're not
Yeah.
doing this." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Okay,
Mhm.
well, I'll quit." That lasted about 2.5 years until, lo and behold, like I think we all go through. I could handle a drink. I could have one. And what do we always say? One, one is too many, and 1,000 isn't enough. And
Yeah.
that was the case.
Yep. So
Mm.
true.
So you were 22 at this point?
Yeah, I was 22 when that first blackout happened, and then
Mhm.
when I got back on the sauce, then I had to have been like 24, 25.
Okay. So you had
Okay.
another kind of gap between drinking at that time?
Yeah, because he said, we're not having this, and I agreed. I got scared and I didn't want to do it. And then, I remember that I had my own band at that time, the Rotten Fruits, which was like a queercore band. And I used to, everybody wanted to buy me drinks. So I
Mhm.
hadn't gotten into drugs yet, but everybody wanted to buy me drinks, and it was easier because I would put on a very outlandish show, costumes and striptease, and just rolling around on broken glass, everything, anything I could think of at the time. But it was much easier to do that type of behavior, that
Yeah.
antisocial behavior, with a few drinks in me. By a few, I mean a lot.
Yeah.
Right. Like a large amount. And were you having any
Yes.
health issues other than blacking out?
Well, I remember at one point I was under a lot of stress at work and I was drinking a lot. Like I would work from midnight till 8 in the morning and then get home and start drinking as soon as I got home. And I would drink until I blacked out and then wake up and do it all over again. And doing this every single day, just like my body started to hurt like really bad. And I was like, oh, well, I'm a really smart person. I'm a really cool person who doesn't want to give up alcohol. So how about this? Because we can figure out everything, being addicts, being alcoholics. How about this? How about I just drink on my days off? That's a great idea. Now, once I figured out how to heal my body, because I'm also a doctor somehow, I started putting, Jameson in my coffee in the morning, packing a flask if I'm going to the movies, only going to restaurants and places that serve alcohol, theaters that serve alcohol. And for 2 days a week, I can stay drunk from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed.
Right.
And that worked for a little while, and until, it didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until it didn't.
And what was the moment that made you think that?
Well, it quit working when it was my 38th birthday. So we're skipping a large portion of time.
Yeah.
But my 38th birthday, I go out for some drinks at Livewire. And so I have some drinks and I have a bump. Because by this point, I've found out that, the random drug tests at work, they only cover a 48-hour period for cocaine. Because I had taken a bump at a music festival, had a random drug test on Monday, and it didn't show up. And I was like, oh shit, all bets are off.
Yeah.
So here we are, my 38th birthday. I have some drinks at one bar, do a little drugs, go to another bar, have a few more drinks, do some more drugs, maybe a lot more drugs and a lot more drinking. Yeah, that night I was behind the bar. Those big old jugs of, hard alcohol. I grabbed one off of the liquor shelf at this bar that and I'm just there. There's pictures of me just, tipping it over, chugging it down. And then we go to another bar and more drinking, more drugs. And then this girl that I met there that night invites me over to her place for an after party, more drinking, more drugs. And it gets to be about 8 o'clock in the morning and I'm driving home and I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay until my phone rings and it's on the passenger side seat and I'm just getting off the freeway. And normally you think, well, I'm driving at a good speed. I shouldn't pick up my phone. Maybe let it just go to voicemail, right? Maybe pick it up and bring it up to your ear, right? Maybe something like that. No, because I've been drinking and drugging all night. I look over like this, which causes the wheel to turn like this, and then the car goes like this, right off of the road and into a tree.
Jeez.
Holy fuck.
I'm lucky. I'm grateful and lucky that all that got hurt was my car and that I had a little bit of money in my bank account where I could just buy another car. Oh, I had to go to a chiropractor for a few months. I wasn't severely hurt. I didn't hurt anybody else. I
No
didn't kill
police got
anybody
called?
else. What's up?
No police came or anything like that?
Nope.
Wow.
Triple A came before the police did.
Wow.
Holy
And the
fuck.
guy, because I had enough wits about me that I grabbed the AAA card up from above my visor, called them, and they came, they hooked me up, and they towed me out in front of my house, and they said, take a nap and figure it out when you wake up. And
Jeez.
that's what I did.
That's the luckiest
Yo.
accident I've heard of.
Yes.
So
yes.
did you like
yes,
literally
100%.
roll and then you rolled and it landed right back on its feet, basically on its wheels, and then you were like, my God, holy shit. And then you called AAA and you were okay?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it didn't roll. I mean, it just went off the road like this.
Straight into a
God,
tree
It's straight into a tree.
my
Yeah.
God.
and totaled it.
And I called AAA and they dropped me off at home. I took a nap. Said that, called my insurance and said that an animal ran out in front of me and I had to swerve to avoid it.
Wow.
Um,
And then what'd you do the next
Wow.
morning? Like, what was your thoughts the next morning?
Thoughts the next morning? Just go get a new car.
I wasn't.
Hmm.
Continue the
But
party.
I am the smartest person in the world. So instead of quit drinking for good, I bragged about how I am now using ride shares everywhere I go. And nobody knew, my work, my family, my friends, nobody knew about the car accident. Just, it was time to get a new car.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
I just went and got a new car and then bragged about taking ride shares whenever I knew I was going to drink because I'm doing the smart thing. I'm doing the important thing. I'm not drinking and driving. You shouldn't drink and drive because that's going to look good on social media, right?
Yeah. Exactly. I
After
mean,
that
it
happened,
is smart doing rideshare. No, that was all
No,
that.
it is.
yes,
It
it's better than
100%
driving
is.
drunk.
But at the same time, how about just don't drink?
Yeah.
Just don't drug.
That's
Just
the
don't
solution.
party like that. And that was working out fine. That was working out perfectly. I was a shining star. And that was until my dad passed away in 2018. And the depression, the anger, the anxiety inside me grew to levels that were crushing. It crushed my soul. So now alcohol, is a depressant. So every time I drank, it was like throwing lighter fluid onto this fire of depression, making it get bigger and bigger. And every time I drank, it would talk to me. It would say, "This world doesn't need you. This world is you could just end it all, and this world would be better off for it. You don't need to be here." And I kept getting closer and closer to doing just that. I mean, I keep a loaded pistol on my bedside table. So I thought about it so many times, just taking my own life.
Mhm.
And it was that fall, November 7th, 2018. I'm sitting down in my basement watching movies as I do by myself and, pouring myself a drink. And the next day, my mom was coming to visit. And, it was just 6 months ago or so. She had buried her husband of 50 years. And I'm getting to thinking, I'm like, I'm looking at this glass of whiskey and I'm thinking, do I really want my mother, who just buried her husband, my father, the man who raised me? Do I really want her to have to bury her son because he got drunk, because he was an alcoholic and he couldn't handle it anymore? Because that's what's going to happen. I had to choose. I had to choose between alcohol and life. I needed to choose between drinking or living a life worth living. And thankfully and gratefully, I see this now as probably my first spiritual awakening. I chose life. I put down the alcohol and I said, I choose my family. I don't want to make my mom cry. I don't want to be another statistic, another alcoholic that couldn't hack it, another alcoholic that wanted to end it all, take his own life.
No.
I chose life, and it wasn't easy doing it by myself because I know when I started, of course, I wanted to be open about this. I wanted to share it. I had a lot of people that I didn't know were in the program. I had a lot of people in recovery that I didn't know, friends and stuff, sliding into my DMs, sending me private messages and stuff, and saying like, if you need a sponsor, let me know, or if you want to go to a meeting, let me know. I'll take you. I don't need that. I'm so cool. I'm so smart and tough. I can do this on my own. I don't need anybody. For 4 years, I did it on my own. For
Wow.
In the
4
beginning.
years. And yeah, and I stayed sober out of fear. Out of fear of, if I drink, I'm going to kill myself. If I have a drink, I'm going to put that gun in my mouth and I'm going to pull the trigger. And it kept me sober, but it fucking sucked. Every day just white knuckling it. I just got to stay sober. I just got to stay sober so I don't fucking kill myself. Got to stay sober so I don't kill
It's a
myself.
long 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a very long 4 years. You're damn right there.
Yeah.
And so the office where I was going to therapy, they also had a division that worked specifically with addictions. And I asked them, I'm like, what do you have to help this aspect of my life? And that's when they're like, just go to meetings. Go to meetings. Go to meetings, build that sober community, build that sober support system. Go to meetings, tell your story, listen to other people's stories. And lo and behold, I was no longer the coolest, smartest, toughest person in the room because I was not the only person in the room anymore. I was in a room full of people that also doing the same things, drinking out of trash cans, getting into accidents, just, destroying property, destroying relationships. I'm in a room with people that I can look at the similarities instead of the differences and see that we're all the same. And it's blowing my mind. But this is where I found serenity. This is where I found truly contented sobriety. So now, instead of being sober out of fear, I get to be sober out of joy, being joyous of this and celebrating it, and hearing other people's stories and finding joy in them, and knowing now that instead of sitting at home by myself or maybe going out to eat or going to a movie by myself and like just strangling that idea of sober versus suicide, I can go to a meeting and I can hear somebody and I can talk to people and I got people I can call and I got this whole support system that's beautiful. It's a beautiful support system and that was working perfectly. It still does, of course, but it was funny. I remember I was at one meeting and because I was just going to meetings and loving it. And I had this guy say, he's like, Jeremy, do you have a sponsor? Are you working the steps? And I got so pissed off at him. I had a resentment right away until I'm driving home from the meeting and I'm thinking about it. And I go, I can't have this resentment towards the guy that's calling me out of my bullshit. What do I do? I look through all those messages from when I first was getting sober 4+ years ago. And I look up a guy He's got tattoos like me. He's in the same sort of line profession as me. He's into rock music like me. And I was like, hey, could you be my sponsor and work the steps with me? And he, yes, let's do this. When when we got done, because we'd go out to breakfast like once a month or so and talk about the steps and everything we're doing. Besides weekly get-togethers and phone calls or whatever. And when we're at the end, when we've done the 12th step and we're sitting there, he's like, I've never had a sponsee so excited and enthused to work the steps. I'm like, look, man, I just want this to work. I want it to work to its fullest, and I will do whatever it takes. He's like, I've never had a sponsee get on my case about when we got to work the next step. And that was me, man. I was full of joy and full of excitement. Nobody says they're excited to work the third and the fourth step. It's like, I am, let's do it. Of course, it sits on my desk at work for 6 months, but I found out, like, I thought that was a long time, and people were like, no, there's some people that don't come back. There's some people it takes a year and a half. 6 months is fine.
That's
I
true.
do
But
have a
yeah, so
question
that's where I'm
because
about now.
I have a question because grief is it's a big, big, big part of my story. How did you, other than going to meetings, how did you and still do you handle grief? Because for me, that's what took me down the totem pole. Like I was just drinking for almost 20 years until I
Yeah.
faced it.
Well, the first time I dealt with grief since my father passing was when in sobriety, was when my dog passed away like 2 years ago, my dog Joey. And, I had him for 13 years, and uh, I was a wreck. And what I did was, before I even left the vet's office where they put him to sleep, I called my sponsor and I talked about it. And I just remembered that these are feelings, these are emotions, and these are thoughts, and they will pass. You just got to ride it like a wave and facing it. And I've found that facing it sober actually let the grief take its course instead of arresting it, instead of like keeping it at bay, as alcohol or drugs do. It's still there. It's still waiting, and it's going to keep presenting itself and presenting itself and presenting itself. But dealing with it sober, I get to let it pass through me at a lot faster rate. I could process it with a clear mind and, yeah, go to therapy, talk to friends, talk to family, go to meetings, talk to my sponsor, read the big book. And, that was it. That there's no real answer to give you except acknowledge it
Yep.
and process it with a sober mind and realize that, yeah, it sucks, and cry and cry, but don't hold it in, because when you're holding it in and you're trying to just keep it at bay with drugs and alcohol, that's not going to work. It's going to creep up
Uh-huh.
on you, and it's just going to get worse and worse. Just like depression, just like anxiety, just like any other mental health aspect, grief just has to be addressed. It has to be looked
Yeah.
at. And when it comes along, it's going to hit you like a wave, and you got to ride that wave. You got to ride it through.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's going to subside, just like any sort of a storm or any sort of rocky
Yeah.
weather. It's going to subside. It just takes time.
Yeah.
In the meantime, talk to somebody, cry, and it's going to be okay. One day at a time.
Exactly.
Literally.
Exactly. So it was nice when you started going to the meetings and you started to have that support system and community to kind of work with and not feel so alone, white knuckling it and everything.
Yeah, 100%. And it was interesting too to try out different meetings, because that was one of the things my sponsor was like, go to different meetings. Go, because I was always going to like the same one over and over and over and over. And he was like, yeah, that's cool, but try something different. So I'm going to LGBTQ meetings. I'm going to punk rock meetings. I'm going to meetings with, different professions and NA meetings and AA meetings, and it felt good because no matter what was going on, no matter who was talking, different races, it didn't matter. I could identify with their story. I could identify with the people there, and I could shake their hands. And that was one of my biggest issues, was coming to terms with the spiritual component of the program. And so for me, yeah, it sounds a little hippy dippy and a little existential, but for me, the higher power became the program itself and the connected consciousness amongst all of us in recovery. And not only just all of us in recovery, but a collected consciousness of humanity, and going for a walk and being able to say hi to another person, say, I hope you have a great day, to a random stranger, telling somebody, that jacket looks great. And that you've improved their day. Giving a stranger a compliment improves their day, which is cool. But you know what? Knowing that you've provided that feeling of joy to another person brings you joy, brings me joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So having that shared conscious, that new idea of existential, instead of dread, existential joy, it was such a positive change in my life. It's a metaphysical type of way of thinking, but for me it works. I don't care if it doesn't work for other people, but I remember going to a bar when I first started like going to meetings, is only because a friend of mine was sewing patches onto clothes to help pay our bills. So I was like, I got a bunch of patches I could sew onto a jacket, and I brought it to her, and I'm sitting at the bar and I'm talking to a bartender there, and she goes, yeah, my dad's in the program and he had a problem with the same thing. She was like, yeah, but he figured out that the ocean was bigger than him. The ocean was a bigger, more powerful source of energy than he is. So for him, the ocean was his higher power. And I was like, I want this to work for me. So yeah, I'm going to figure it out. And so once that clicked, that the shared consciousness, this existential, metaphysical, shared reality of love and joy can be my higher power, everything just clicked. And that's when, finding contented sobriety was a game changer.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's when you realize something is bigger than you. And that's
Exactly.
your higher power. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you
So
do?
how
I
long?
see that you're also, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
No, you go first.
I just was going to get into the fitness aspect because I see that you're into fitness on social media. I see on your Instagram. Does
Oh,
that
that's
play a
just so
huge
I can
role?
get followers.
Oh,
The
yeah.
bear community likes to look at a hot dad bod once in a while. I mean, it was, I'd always been into lifting, and I'd always been into, sort of cardio and stuff. I did track and field and cross country in high school, but it was like when the pandemic hit, and since I got sober when I quit drinking was in 2018, and it was before I started going to meetings. I was like, what am I gonna do to manage this boredom? What am I gonna do to manage this mind? So every time instead of going to get a drink or whatever the case may be, instead of doing that, I would just get down on the floor and do push-ups. And I'd do push-ups until my arms would hurt. And I got some weights shipped to me from Amazon, and so I started lifting weights in the guest room in my house. And so now, once the pandemic lets up, of course COVID still exists, but we take precautions and so on and so forth. I just kept up a routine of working out 2 days at home and 1 day at the gym. And so I do have a strong opinion that exercise is good medicine for us.
Yes.
It helps ward off that stagnation that we live in as addicts and alcoholics. And when we're stagnant, it's easy to fall into old habits. And if we're out there hitting the treadmill, hitting the weights, hitting the machines, getting buff, getting trim, whatever it is you want to get, it's much harder to fall into a mindset of it doesn't matter. I'm gonna do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
No, I'm healthy body, healthy mind.
Exactly.
Just get to it. Keep on going. Keep on rocking in the free world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Rachel and
Routine.
I both are into fitness, as part of our recovery and self improvement and stuff. So not only physically does it help, but just mentally afterwards, you just feel amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's necessary for me.
And it's time that we would have dedicated towards drinking. I'm spending an hour and a half working out. I'm not drinking, so it's an incredible medicine for sure. Yeah.
And you get the mind, the body, and the spirit. You get that trinity of things going on. And if you got a chance to work out all three, then you're doing great. Work out the body at the gym, work out the mind, read a book, and then work out the spirit by going to meetings.
Exactly.
And did you end up having that last drink? Where I'm kind of a little bit backtracking, but did you end up having that last drink? Or were you like, I'm done
No.
on the 7th? And did you have
Yeah, that
withdrawal?
was it. I mean, I'm 100% sure that I've had withdrawals, but I just sort of like rode the wave because
Okay.
I had instilled that idea so deeply into my mind that if I drink, I will die. That I didn't care. I didn't care if there were seizures. I didn't care if there was tremors. I mean, thankfully, as far as I could tell, there were no seizures. I think I would know.
Right.
But everything else, the tingly in my fingers, the headaches, the mood swings, lots of mood swings.
Yeah.
Not being able to feel the bottoms of my feet at times, all that, I didn't care. I was just not going to drink no matter what. And I mean, I still have pause once in a while. When I found, of course, now I can't even think of what the acronym stands for. But when I found out that like that is a thing, pause, and because I
It's a
went
medical
through
term?
yeah, post alcoholic withdrawal symptoms or syndrome. That's what it is.
I've heard of that.
Yeah. And because what was it, about a year and a half, 2 years ago now, I went took like a 6-month course to get my CADC, which is a certified alcohol and drug counselor. Did an internship for another few months, and now that's what I do for a living. And
awesome.
so to
Mhm.
go from being reckless to being a spiky-haired drunk punk, living just chaos, reveling in chaos, to being somebody who didn't want to believe in a program, to working a program, to now making it my occupation
Amazing.
is an amazing journey to begin with, but then also getting paid to help others get and stay sober. That's my greatest joy in life now, is just helping others get and stay sober. Helping
Yeah.
others, and newcomers don't usually get that. They're like, I've only got 2 days. 2
Yeah.
days? That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love hearing you got 48 hours. Because you know what? Hearing you got 48 hours just gives me joy, so much joy, that it's going to keep me sober another day. Because all we
Same.
have is 24 hours. All we have is this moment right now.
Yeah.
So, I
and
mean,
you
if
stayed sober for
you
that
want
moment.
to get and stay sober, if you're sober at this moment, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. When I'm doing my stay safe and stay sober videos, and I post them on Instagram or wherever, and I like to say, you're doing great and I'm proud of you. Because we don't hear that enough as adults. We really don't.
Hmm.
There's so few times. We kind of lose that over time. Our parents might have said it to us sometimes, or other relatives, but when one grown-ass person says to another grown-ass person, you're doing great and I'm proud of you, it kind of like, it can jumpstart your heart right there. That can make or break a person.
So true.
You shake
Yeah.
somebody's hand that has 24 hours. You say, you're doing great and I'm proud of you. Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
Boom. That could be the catalyst of what gets them through the next 24 hours.
Exactly.
Or just gets them through the next 5 minutes. Whatever the
Yeah.
case may be.
We tell
Just as long as you're not drinking or you're not high right now, that's all I'm proud of. And even if you relapse or if you have a slip and you come back and you're like, I fucked up and I need help again, I'll be there. I will be there and help you again as many times as it takes. I recently had a client relapse for the 4th time since I've been working with him. And I've only been doing this. It'll be 3 years in June. And what, I'm not going to turn him away. And I remember the first time he relapsed, I felt bad. Like I did something wrong. I'm like, no, this is his shitty day. This is his shitty day. And he's coming back and asking for help. You got to be there. And that's what I'm learning.
And the fact that he had courage to keep asking for help, and come back, and not give up.
Yeah, and he came back.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
Just
amazing.
keep coming back.
So that's an incredible transformation that you're now doing it for a living and helping people get and stay sober. That's amazing. And yeah, like we say, like when I go to meetings, when somebody comes in, they're 48 hours sober, we always say, like, you're the most important person in this room, like you're here. And then somebody today collected a 60-day chip and she's like, oh, that's not that long. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like those first 60, 90 days are intense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but
Yeah.
yeah, just
Somebody
little
recently said the
compliments
same
and
thing. Yeah. I mean, I heard recently at my office patients that I only have 48 hours. Similar. I only have, and I stopped them right there. I was like, don't use that word. Only. Only.
yeah.
That doesn't exist. It's not only. Like, you made it this far. It's 2 days more of living, of not using and putting that in your body. And then that's when I get personal. I tell my life story. I get into it. I'm like, you know what? You're not alone. So
Exactly.
just always
That's
helping
good.
the other person.
There's a lot of times where, I've been told and I was taught, don't interject your story. But I know from the perspective as an addict, as an alcoholic, that I'm not going to trust I'm not going to trust somebody with my addiction if they're not in recovery themselves. I am not 100%. So that's why I will share parts of my story. And there are times when I'm doing public speaking at like stress management classes or whatever, and I'll share as much of my story as I can. I'll usually leave out the drug stuff, but I will share as much as I can just so that people know I will walk the walk and I'll talk the talk. And I will never turn my back on an addict or an alcoholic that needs help and wants help.
Right.
That's the thing. That's a horrible thing about this fucking disease is that you can't get the cure unless you want the cure, unless you ask for it. It
Yeah.
sucks.
Yep.
Because you can see somebody struggling all day long, every day, but unless they want the cure, you can't help them. I can't help them. But the moment they say, please help me, fuck yeah, dude, I will get you into treatment. I will sit with you, whatever you want to do. We could go get coffee. We can go to a meeting. I can ship you off to another state to go to a treatment center, residential center, IOP, whatever you need. But I need you to say that you want it. I need you to say, I have a problem.
You have to want it.
Yeah, you have to want it. 100%. 100%. Because if you don't want this, there's nothing we can do to help you. That sucks.
Yeah.
So true.
You have to be so tired of your own shit. That's what I always say. You have to be tired of your own shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to bring up was this company that we know about called Sober Strong Apparel. Seems like you've been rocking them for a while.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was kind of cool when I saw them pop up on Instagram, and I liked their design. It was simple, it was clean, and it reminded me of that. I don't know how much you are into like punk rock and stuff, but it reminded me of like that New York hardcore aesthetic. It made me think of Sick of It All, Sheer Terror, bands that you don't look at cross-eyed or you're not going to be walking the same. It looked tough. It looked like somebody real was making this, because there were so many times where I would see people sort of faking the funk and coming out with apparel or coming out with streetwear that had some sort of like good message on it, but it didn't look like they knew what was really going on. It didn't look like they knew about the struggle. And when I saw Sober Strong Apparel pop up, I felt like this guy knows what's going on. This guy's real. And when real recognizes real, You gotta give props to that. And that's what I did. I bought one piece and I was like, this is what I'm about. This is what's going on now. So,
Yep.
I got the shirt, the hoodie, the jacket, and I like to rock this stuff
Mhm.
when I'm doing my videos or you know, just putting that message out there.
It
You
is.
know, and it's bold.
Yeah.
There's no wishy-washy about it. It's not like, what's that mean? No. Sober, strong. Strength through sobriety, strength through recovery, strength through unity. But I gotta also give a shout out to my other meeting, my Zoom meeting I do. It's called Street Loyal Recovery, and they came out with a shirt where it's got their logo on the front. It says Street Loyal Recovery, and then on the back it says "Fuck you, stay sober." And that means so much to me, actually, because it sounds like kind of crude, but to me, I interpret it as fuck your ego, fuck your excuses, fuck everything else in life.
Mhm.
Make sobriety your number one priority, and you're
Exactly.
gonna pull through. You're gonna make it work. But if you're gonna let your ego and all this other garbage get in the way, and all your excuses of why you can't get into treatment, I'll quit drinking after Christmas, after New Year's, fuck you, stay sober. Fuck all your
There you go.
bullshit.
Yep.
And I hate
I
to
like
Yeah.
keep
that.
swearing. I hate it when people swear a lot, but
Nah, it's
you know,
okay.
Sorry.
that's just when I saw that shirt, when they came out with that shirt, I was like, I need to rock that shit. So Street Loyal Recovery, if you're a punk rock, skinhead, hardcore kid that's been in the scene and you've been beaten down and you need some help, hook up with one of our meetings, man. I was grateful to be asked to be of service, and I got to host the January Monday night meetings. I mean, it's a Zoom
Oh.
group, so it's not like too hard to get on, but I just clicked the link and it was nice. It
Awesome.
was real nice. I got some good people from the scene to speak at those meetings, and happy about how that's going down, and just nice to know that there are so many different options for us
Yeah.
because we always think we're terminally criminally unique, and we're
Yeah.
not. None of us are
Mhm.
unique, and I don't care how crazy your story is. I've heard it. I've heard some part of it. you know I've woken up in my front lawn with my shoes stolen. I've done, you think of it, I've either heard it or done it myself, and that's
Mhm.
okay.
Yep.
That's okay.
Yep.
That's our past. We don't wish to close the door on it. We don't wish to forget it, but we're going to move on. We're
Yeah.
going to move on and we're going to be a brighter, more beautiful future together. And that's
Exactly.
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly. A lot of those dark things in the past, it's like we can look back and be ashamed of them, but like when you walk into those meetings, at least from my experience, I see people laughing about those experiences now. Like, yeah, I did wake
Mhm.
up with my shoes off in the front yard, but look at me now. That's what matters. So, you know,
Yeah.
Right. Go
shame.
from a public nuisance to being a public speaker about recovery and stress management and peer
Yeah,
support and all the other cool things I get to do now.
Right.
exactly.
Yeah. Literally, we change when we take care of ourselves, right? Who would have thought?
Yes.
Not I.
Right.
Not I. And if you could speak to the listeners personally right now that are struggling, sober, curious, or, in early sobriety, what would you say to them personally?
I'd say don't drink. You know what I'm saying? Don't drink. Give it a chance. See how you feel the next day and think about that feeling. Think about how much different you feel with no alcohol or drugs in your system and look at the positive aspects of it and think about not only about how it affects you though, think about how your clear-minded vision of the day, your clear-minded vision of life is now going to affect your family. Affect, if you got children or a significant other, your siblings if you have them, or even just society in general, Once again, reaching out to that higher power, that collective consciousness. When you think about having a positive mental attitude, you're not going to have that when you're drinking or using. I don't care what anybody says. Well, I could smoke a little weed, I'm peaceful. Sure. If that works for you, go for it. But when you're clear minded thinking and you can stop and you can say, it's okay. It's okay. I'm breathing. I'm above ground. I hope you're okay. I hope your life is great. And I don't care. This is what gets me through the day a lot of times too. Somebody pisses me off, somebody cuts me off in traffic, startles me by riding their bike on the sidewalk, whatever the case may be. Stop and breathe. And then I say, I pray for their peace, love, and understanding, safety and security for them and their family. And you know what? That feeling of anger, that feeling of fear goes away almost immediately. I pray for those that upset me. And the psychological effect of that, and people look at it as the base level of, oh, you're saying nice words. Yeah, I'm saying them because that way my psyche isn't dwelling on these negative ideas. So if the power of prayer, you feel like it doesn't work physically, that's fine. But it works on a spiritual and psychological level where those negative thoughts that are in your head that could drive you to drink or use, because my emotional sobriety is of the utmost importance. I won't have a slip with alcohol or drugs now, but if I have a slip with my personality or my emotions, it's not pretty. I can go dark really fast, and I don't want to. I want to be peace, love, and understanding, safety, and security. And so I have to maintain that. I have to breathe and pray and meditate and just keep a clear-minded vision of what this shared consciousness, this existential, spiritual way of life is now. It's hard sometimes. It's damn hard sometimes, to remain in this metaphysical plane of spirituality, but it's the only thing that works for me. And I can still go see hardcore bands that are screaming in a microphone, and I can still enjoy that, and I can still make jokes with friends and stuff. But knowing that at the end of the day, I want everybody to live. I want everybody to be able to enjoy freedom and liberty and happiness. I want you to be able to kiss your child on the head and say, have a good night, sleep tight. I just want world. This is gonna sound really corny. I went to Disney World for Christmas. This is the second year we did this, me and my husband. My goal is always to meet every Santa Claus because there's 4 Santa Clauses in the park.
What?
And whenever they ask, what do you want for Christmas? And I always told them I want world peace. They're like, that's nice. That's good. Anything else? Like, no, I just want world peace. I want people to realize that we're not so different. And,
I wish.
I would never have said that. Me 10 years ago, me 7, 8 years ago, even when I was just barely getting sober, would have looked at me now and been like, that's a corny motherfucker. I don't care how corny it sounds. This is what keeps me on the beam. This is what keeps me sober. This is what keeps me content. This is what makes me able to maintain my serenity. And I love it. Now I can say life is great. I couldn't say that before. Life is great one day at a time.
Yep.
And so life is great. I'm no longer the coolest, smartest, toughest guy in the room. Why? Because I'm not the only guy in the room. We're all in this room together.
Love that. You said it perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the big pit it's like a big mosh pit of the world. Somebody falls down, you fucking grab them before they get run over, and you get back to it. Somebody falls in the pit, you grab them, pull them up. You said, "Let's go, brother. Let's go, sister. This war ain't over. We're gonna keep going." Oh, yeah,
I didn't know that.
I mean, ever since I was a kid, ever since I was going to shows, I was probably like 18, 19. Somebody falls, you pick them up, and you keep going, you keep moving, you keep swinging, because it's more about the energy. It's not about the violence, unless sometimes it's about the violence, but very rarely. Somebody falls, you pick them up, and you get back in there.
Yep.
You keep
moving.
And that's what you're doing as a profession and in social media, and it seems like you're motivating people and picking people up again and giving them another shot at life. So it's amazing. It's incredible what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And what is birthday cake isn't just a flavor, it's a way of life. What does that mean?
I love absurdity, and I just couldn't think of a more absurd sort of catchphrase than birthday cake isn't just a flavor, it's a way of life.
Yep.
And I have a sweet tooth like a motherfucker. So
Same.
it really doesn't have too much meaning. I like to take photos of, you know, roughneck looking dudes and put captions on them that people are like, huh? And I remember I found this guy who looked like a big fat grandpa drinking a glass of wine in the bathtub. And I put that quote on a meme, birthday cake is not just a flavor, it's a way of life. That's one of my favorite memes that I ever made. I'm like, so I guess it's just like, enjoy the sweet things, enjoy the small things,
Yeah. I
enjoy
love that.
life. To put it, if I have to think about it, but I just love absurdity. And I think
Yeah.
that just be nice, it boils down to that.
Yeah.
Not too
Love
much
it.
else. A lot of things that I enjoy in life,
Mhm.
I don't think about too much, I when people tell me, "Oh, I've never gotten a tattoo because if I think about it, I'm not going to get it." I'm like, "Don't think about it too much. Just get it." But maybe that's the addict in me talking too.
I feel like I think less about tattoos I get now than I did when I was drinking. Like I'm willing to get like almost anything
I
now.
could agree.
When I was
Yeah.
drinking, I would put like thought into it and stuff. And now I'm like, oh no, I kind of want that. I'll just get it.
Right.
You're very
Spontaneity,
tatted.
It's just yeah,
You
Ooh.
both are more tatted than me, so
yeah.
it's pretty
And my
cool.
stomach is almost covered up now, but yeah, my chest is covered
Oh.
and got sleeves. But I saw your picture. You're full body. It seems like.
Mhm.
I'm working on my rib cage now. My rib cage on my left side is almost done. Since my newly formed love of Disney, there's a Mickey Mouse hidden in some of the filler.
Yeah.
So then we're going to be working on the right side of my right rib cage, and probably going to talk about hiding a Winnie the Pooh in there. And
Mhm.
my dad passed away in 2018, and my mom's on her deathbed right now, and so I'm probably gonna
Sorry.
she'll be passing away soon, and I'll
Sorry.
probably be getting a tattoo honoring the two of them. So my dad was a big hunter. I was gonna get a deer to honor him, and then my mom always loved owls, so I was thinking like a deer with an owl sitting on top of him.
That's cool.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear about your mom, but
Yeah.
Yeah, it
that would be a cool
sucks.
tattoo.
And I know that if I was still drinking, though, I'd be drunk right now. I wouldn't be able to go into work, and I wouldn't be able to help other people. I wouldn't be able to be there for my family. And so I'm glad I'm sober, and I'm glad I can talk to people about it. And I'm glad I work in the field because there's a lot of therapists and a lot of
Yeah.
counselors in the same building as me.
Exactly.
So I can be honest too. I don't have to just be like, living the dream.
Yeah.
No,
Exactly.
be like, I'm not okay.
We still have
Oh,
good
why
days.
not?
We
Why
still
aren't
have
you
bad
okay?
days. We still have to
Yeah.
go through grief and everything. And
Yeah.
at least now we have the support system. We have the community. We're never alone, like you said earlier. There's somebody out there can relate to our stories, and that's why we like to hear yours tonight. So it's
100%.
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's incredible. And one more shout out from all of us to Sober Strong. They sponsor the show, and they're we work with them. We love working with Chris and all that. And you guys like the quality of the clothing and all that?
Best quality clothing that I think I have. I have a lot of clothes. But these t-shirts, the material it's made of, heavyweight, is awesome. It feels like you're actually wearing clothes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the winter jacket he came out with, I've never had a jacket in my life that high quality. Like, it's insulated,
I
the
believe it.
hood is amazing. I don't even have to wear a hat with that hood because nothing gets in, nothing gets out unless I want it to. Pockets lay just right, so they're right here and not like way down here. Yeah.
I'm excited.
100%.
I'm excited to get the new jogger zip up. That thing looks
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I'm a little
I'm getting
broke
that
right now,
too.
or else I would have put in that
Yeah.
pre-order. But
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do the pre-order, but no, yeah, like you said, the quality of the shirts are incredible. Like put them through the wash a million times, and it's still just as durable and thick, and it's amazing. So, and like I
Mhm.
love the owner is amazing. He obviously, like you said earlier, he knows what's up. He's real.
Yeah.
yeah,
The
real
authenticity is
recognize real,
unmatchable. Yep. Real
Yeah,
recognize real for real.
100%.
exactly.
Yeah,
Well, awesome.
on the one hoodie I got, it says "Standing on Business," and it's got a bear with the laurel wreath around it. I was like, that is so me,
I love
because
that.
I'm a bear in the gay community. I'm a part of the bear community.
Grr.
And then the Laurel Reef. The Laurel Reef is like so connected to like Oi and street punk, which
Yeah.
is a community that I'm a part of too. So when
That's-
he put those two things on a shirt, I was like, "You made this for me, basically."
Yeah.
This was
That's
done
my
for
favorite
me.
shirt too that I wear. That's the hoodie I wear the most often because it goes with my Jordans and it's got the little accent of red in it. I got the white one. Love that shirt. Yeah, no, I love that shirt, the stand on business part. And that always raises the most questions when I'm out and about too. They're just like, what is that? And I'm like, check it out. SoberStrongApparel.com. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So he's
Mm-hmm.
making some good stuff and great graphics. And I love the Phoenix. I love the bear. It's all cool stuff. So, and it all represents, sobriety and how we're tackling it, so it's amazing.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, Rachel,
And
do you
it
have any
goes
other
to
questions?
recovery homes. No
Yes.
questions. I just really, really thank you for coming on the show. And I've been wanting to interview you since actually before I was even on a podcast. So that speaks volumes. I've been following your page for a very long time, like a year or two.
I've been seeing your pictures and clips for a long time too. So like today I was like, oh wait, we're interviewing him. Sweet. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Germ T.
Yeah.
Ripper. Yeah, I mean, punk rock, professional wrestling, horror loving guy. My last book, The Lilac Retribution Theory, was released in September of 2024. I'm working on my next novel. It's called Escape Forever, and it's going to be more fantasy based, but still very horror too. And
Cool.
then just got hit up by Earth Island Books in the UK because I had a short story featured in their first collection, Hardcore Horror, where it was all like punk rock influenced horror stories.
Cool.
So I'll be writing 2 more stories for Hardcore Horror Volume 2.
Awesome. Putting that imagination to work. I like it. And sobriety and being
Yes.
creative. That's awesome. We love to
Mhm.
hear that.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, sharing your
Thank
story.
you.
Would you like to shout out your Instagram handle so people can reach you?
Sure. It's just modern_day_germ. Modern day germ, because my old band was called Modern Day Rippers. We ripped it up in a
Awesome.
modern way.
I like it. I like it. I
So
like it.
modern day germ.
Yeah. And I do want to say, I think it's really cool that, we're talking about being in the LGBTQ community and stuff. And I know that I've heard from other people we interview that drinking and drugs is kind of prominent in that community a lot. So I think it's cool that you're outspoken about it and, opening up to that community as well. So I think that's important.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
growing up queer and you're trying to hide it, and it becomes an easy way to hide. Just get drunk or get high and forget what people were saying about you and, try and fit in, and I think that's why the beginning part of my story of having a drink, having many drinks and being one of the guys is sad but important, because being a queer person now and looking back and being like, shit, my alcoholism started way back then because I just wanted to hide who I was and be one of the guys. And now I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Love that attitude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you again.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, really
Yeah.
appreciate you and really appreciate you being on the show and sharing your story and being vulnerable. You talked about some difficult things, but still have a smile on your face, still have that positivity just coming off you. So we really appreciate it.
Yeah, life is great, one day at a time. Real recognize real and stand on business. Just happy to be here, guys.
Love it. Thank you.
Yeah, stay safe and stay sober.
Rock Bottom with Ryan. No bullshit, just recovery.